Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're talking about Samoa Joe and the upcoming Royal Rumble. I know that you go back to WrestleMania 31 weekend. Hey, look at this. WrestleMania California. Um, Samoa Joe was the biggest free agent in the world of professional wrestling. He had just announced that he was leaving TNA. He was a guest at the JR's talk show. There was word that he was going to sign with WWE, maybe show up at the NXT show. There was lots of rumors of Samoa Joe doing thousands of things in WWE, even coming in and invading WrestleMania and putting his name in WWE as being one of the big forces there was to come. I honestly know that it was after the Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens NXT Championship match is where Samoa Joe made his debut, and then Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens ended up having a match which was basically was a blow-off. It was never a big pay-per-view NXT special spectacular before Kevin Owens left to debut on the main roster for Monday Night Raw when he debuted at Elimination Chamber when he came in and fought John Cena. Kevin Owens stayed in developmental, wrestling a few more matches, dropping the NXT Championship to Finn Balor at the Tokyo show, and then as well losing at the Brooklyn show, I believe, at SummerSlam that year in the... Was it a steel cage match or was it a ladder match? It was some sort of a special match. I think it was the ladder match that he lost. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but since then, Samoa Joe picked up the ball in NXT and really became the guy wrestling against big matches. That was until we had the debut of Nakamura. Nakamura coming in really was a guy that was sort of thought might be going right to the main roster, but instead debuted in NXT last year at WrestleMania weekend when he had the match against Sami Zayn. Some people thought that maybe Nakamura would just be there for a cup of coffee, wrestle a few matches, learn the American style, and then be brought onto the main roster. We're going to be coming up on a year later, and Nakamura looks like he's still going to be the guy in NXT. There is a chance Samoa Joe and Nakamura are having one more rematch for the NXT Championship. That's going to be taking place, I believe, in Melbourne, Australia. It's going to be a steel cage match. This is after Nakamura beat Joe for the championship, and then Joe beat Nakamura for the championship back on an NXT special, and then on a house show match in Japan that was recorded, was put on the NXT for us to watch as a regular show. Honestly, I'm hoping that this is going to be a blow-off for Samoa Joe, and this will be leading to his debut on the main roster. I'm not sure where he fits better, if it's Raw or SmackDown. I can honestly tell you that's for the writers to figure out, and honestly, in my mind, from watching the show and paying attention, it doesn't really seem like Monday Night Raw is the A brand anymore. I can tell you by looking at the roster, I'm sure AJ Styles is going to be returning from his injury sooner than later. It sucks that their champion is injured. John Cena seems to be doing everything in the world other than wrestling right now. But that is a show, honestly, even with their mid-card being built up like Miz and Dolph Ziggler, it is a show that doesn't miss a beat. And, Monday Night Raw, honestly, has had good shows, but it seems like it's more hit or miss, even though they stack it full of stars such as Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. Maybe it'll get a little bit more of appeal from hardcore fans when Finn Balor returns from injury, if it's at WrestleMania or somewhere down the road. From there, I still think that's going to happen, the Raw after WrestleMania. I think it's hard to plug somebody into a WrestleMania match when he's not going to be cleared to wrestle until then. It almost gives him a fresh, clean start, seeing how the Raw after WrestleMania, even though it builds up to a lot of rematches, if it's at Extreme Rules or, whatever pay-per-view they run after that show, it sort of it starts everything fresh. You know, if you went to WrestleMania last year and you didn't have a match, you're going to come out of the gates and you're going to be trying something new, and you're going to be trying to hit one out of the park, and go from there. And I'm hoping that Finn Balor can get it, because, you know, he came to the main roster, he beat Roman Reigns, and then right out of the bat won the championship at SummerSlam against Seth Rollins. You can't beat that. It just sucks that he had the injury and he's having to do all the rehab to get back to it. But we can hope that with Samoa Joe, you know, he could have a debut at the Royal Rumble. We know with, you know, the Royal Rumble match, it's very easy to put somebody over and make them look really strong. We've had debuts such as Rusev come in right out of NXT. A lot of people really didn't know who he was, but he came in, didn't have to throw a lot of people out, just had to, you know, get in there, show that he was big, show that he had a lot of force, get tossed out over the top, and because it's not a pinfall or a submission, doesn't make you look that weak, and people know that you can continue on and be something. It took a while for Rusev to really debut on the WWE main roster, even though he was in the Royal Rumble. I can't remember when he came up, but when he did come up, people were ready for him, and he was, you know, breaking fools left and right. Samoa Joe, whether he's inserted on Monday Night Raw or on SmackDown, I see that he can be in that upper mid-card to main event slot and be believable. Joe's having some of the best matches of his career right now. It seems that he has the stink off of him of TNA. It's been well over 2 years since he left the company, and even though he is a guy that when you look at him, you're always going to think about TNA, can be a guy like AJ Styles that does come in. You know, when AJ debuted, he came in at the Royal Rumble, he was really big. They stuck him into that, you know, Chris Jericho feud, got him a match at WrestleMania, and it was shortly on the build to WrestleMania, I think they figured out AJ Styles wasn't just a flash-in-the-pan name that a lot of people liked, that he really was one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think you put Joe in there against some big guys that can really, you know, lower the boom on him. He's going to impress a lot of people in WWE. And even though he is up there in age, I think that he will have a stretch in WWE that maybe by the time it's done, you'll remember his WWE run over his TNA time. So my hat's tipping to Samoa Joe debuting in the Royal Rumble this year. I think he's going to lose the match in Melbourne to Nakamura in the rematch, and I think that will be his blow-off. I know that when a lot of guys lose their championships in NXT, it's always like, well, they lost their championship, they're off to the main roster, they're never going to be seen again. I think NXT has been able to show us with a lot of people that guys hang around. It might not be for a long time, but they want to make it a real surprise when people jump to the main roster. So they'll wrestle a match here or there. Maybe they'll have one more feud after they lose a big match to sort of have them go out on a winner. Maybe have people remember the good times over the bad. And we'll see what goes on with Joe, the Royal Rumble, and the main roster.